me.
The buzz around Resident Evil Requiem is unlike anything I've ever felt in years. So Leon Kennedy is back, and there is a lot to unpack. Yeah, I rhymed that on purpose. Today I have brought you everything you need to know before buying the game. So, let's begin.
Never.
So, when is it actually coming out? If you're like me and you've been marking your calendar with every rumor, you can finally put the pen down. Resident Evil Requiem is scheduled for a global release on February 27, 2026. What's better is that this is a same-day launch across all major platforms, so no one is getting left behind. If you're already sold, pre-orders are officially live right now, and the deluxe edition is available if you want those extra bells and whistles from day one. Honestly, seeing a fixed date is a relief.
Hey, over here.
Can you even play it on your console? Capcom is fully committing to the power of modern hardware. Resident Evil Requiem will be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC via Steam and Epic Games Store, and the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2. However, if you're still rocking a PS4 or an Xbox One, I have some bad news. There's no support for last-gen consoles. It's a bit of a bummer for some, but it means they aren't holding back the visuals to accommodate older tech. What exactly is Resident Evil Requiem? In simple terms, this is Resident Evil 9. It's the next entry in the franchise, and the dual protagonist structure is why it's special. So you'll be swapping between a brand new character named Grace Ashcroft and our beloved Leon S. Kennedy.
They asked for Miss Ashcroft and then they hung up on me. Rude.
Is this a solo experience, or can you play with friends? I know many of us have good memories of co-op in RE5 and RE6, but, Resident Evil Requiem is going back to basics. It is strictly single player. Even though you have two main characters, you won't be playing with a friend. So, like GTA 5, there will be a swapping mechanic where you experience different sides of the story at different times. Personally, I think the solo focus is the right call.
They're coming.
How scary are we talking here? If Resident Evil Village felt a little too heavy for your taste, you're going to love this. The developers are aiming for the level of tension found in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 7. Watch out, every shadow is reaching for you. There are intense stalker moments where a massive threat is constantly hunting you through the halls. Who are you playing as? Grace or Leon? You play as Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst who is new to field combat. She's fragile, stealthy, and her segments are all about survival horror. Then you have Leon S. Kennedy, who is now around about 50 years old. Come on, don't expect me to introduce him. That man needs no introduction. Let me put it this way. Grace will try to sneak past a single zombie, but Leon will clear the entire room with a shotgun. What does moment-to-moment gameplay feel like? It's a game of two halves. One moment you're playing as Grace, then the gameplay shifts to Leon. You'll go from, I hope I survive this, to, I'm going to make them regret being undead. Is it going to irritate us at some point? Well, it might, but will we still continue to play it? Definitely. What kind of enemies are you up against? Capcom has introduced smart zombies with multiple personalities. You could run into a singer zombie that screams to stun you, or a chef zombie that gets aggressive if you disturb his prep work. There are also blister heads, or should I say the new version of Crimson Heads, and creatures that react to light and sound. What's the deal with that giant stalker monster? You might have seen the chunk. It's a big stalker monster. This thing is terrifying, and it can reshape the environment as it moves. In Grace's sections, it's an unkillable monster that you just have to hide from. But later, when you're playing as Leon, you'll get the chance to confront it. Seeing that thing squeeze through a doorway for the first time? Yeah, I'm not ready for that.
Now go. Get out of here.
Will you constantly be short on ammo? In Grace's campaign, absolutely. The developers have said that while 1 zombie is manageable, 2 are dangerous. And 3 is usually a mistake. You'll be scavenging for every scrap of gunpowder and deciding if it's worth using your last bullet or just trying to run for the door. How does combat actually play? Especially as Leon. Playing as Leon feels like a refined version of the RE4 remake. He has his signature guns, but he also uses an axe for melee. This axe has limited durability and needs to be sharpened, but hey, it's gonna be fun to use. On top of that, you can pick up enemy weapons like a chainsaw and turn them back onto the monsters. What tools does Grace actually have to survive? Grace isn't like Leon, so, her tools are more about utility. She has a lighter to see in the dark, but be careful though, the light can attract enemies. She can throw glass bottles to create distractions and uses some kind of injection to collect blood from fallen enemies, which she can then use to craft items and upgrades. Where are you stuck fighting all these things? So everything takes place in the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, which looks like a modern reimagining of the classic RPD or the Spencer Mansion. Locked doors and shortcuts, you get it. You'll be doing a lot of backtracking and finding key items to open up new routes. What's the basic story setup? No spoilers. So, Grace Ashcroft is investigating the death of her mother at a facility near the ruins of Raccoon City. Meanwhile, Leon is on a mission for the DSO to track down a former Umbrella scientist named Victor Gideon. Their paths cross at Rhodes Hill, where a new biothreat is on the rise. It's catchy, so far. How long does it feel? And does it drag? Based on the recent 3-hour demo, the pacing seems very light. The demo was split into roughly 2 hours of Grace's survival and 1 hour of Leon's action. It doesn't drag because, the gameplay style shifts just when you're starting to get too stressed. Is there an easy mode or accessibility help? Yes. Capcom is continuing their trend of being very inclusive with difficulty and accessibility. There are multiple difficulty settings, with an assisted mode for those who just want the story. You can also expect standard features like subtitles, aim assist, and visual toggles. They've kept the first-person and third-person camera options, so you can play the way that's most comfortable to you. How well will it run on your hardware? Being built on the RE engine, there's great optimization, like 4K resolution and 60 FPS on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. If you have a PS5 Pro, there are more enhancements like, improved path tracing and cleaner image quality. Now on PC, it supports the latest NVIDIA tech, including DLSS 4. It also makes full use of the DualSense controller's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers to make every gunshot and heartbeat feel real. Does Leon's combat feel good? In one word, yes. The feedback from the axe swings, the impact from the roundhouse kicks, and the weight of the shotgun blasts all look snappy. Leon is a badass, and there's no doubt about it. But he is not an invincible badass. He can still be overwhelmed if you're careless, so, watch out. How much does sound mess with your nerves? Any horror game lover knows the importance of audio design. You'll hear zombies muttering to themselves, and the heavy thuds of the chunk roaming above you. And also, I've heard that the 3D audio implementation is particularly nasty. What kind of boss fights and big moments are there? Aside from the chunk encounters, there are important showdowns with other unique monsters. One of the highlights mentioned in previews is Victor Gideon, who seems to have powers that go beyond your typical virus-infected zombie. What are critics and early players actually saying? The early impressions are overwhelmingly positive. People are praising the return to real horror with Grace's sections and the way it balances the two playstyles. Some have expressed slight concern that switching characters could be weird, but most agree that if the full game maintains the quality of the demo, this could be one of the best in the series. How does it stack up against other Resident Evil games? Requiem has the claustrophobia of RE1 and RE2, the first-person immersion of RE7, and the combat of RE4. All the good stuff in one game? It can't be bad, right? Can your PC actually run this? If you have a mid-range PC from the last couple of years, you should be fine for 1080p. However, if you want to push for 4K visuals and path tracings, you're going to need a better card, like the RTX 40 series or its equivalent. Are there microtransactions or paid extras? The store listings do mention in-game purchases optional, which points to small things like weapon charms. Or the Unlock All Rewards DLC Capcom often releases later. The deluxe edition gives you a head start with skins like Grace's costume, Dimitrescu, but there's no sign of anything that would break the game or require a live service. Do you need to have played the older games? You can enjoy this as a newcomer, and yet it's more rewarding if you know the history. Grace is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak, and Leon's story is a direct continuation of his journey from Raccoon City to the DSO. I mean, let's be real. Leon's 30-year struggle against bioterrorism is an important part of the experience. Go and do your homework about Resident Evil. Trust me, it's worth it. Is there any reason to replay it? Absolutely. Classic Resident Evil replayability is back. There are higher difficulty modes that change enemy placements, plus the director has mentioned that your actions as Grace can affect what Leon finds later, which sounds like it could lead to some very interesting speedrunning strategies and, different ways to approach the building. Any hidden online or co-op stuff I should know about? To be crystal clear, there is no co-op, and no versus mode for that matter. This is a pure offline single-player campaign. Capcom is focusing 100% on the narrative and the atmosphere, which is exactly what I want from a mainline Resident Evil title. Where does this sit in the Resident Evil timeline? The game is set in October 2026, which is about 30 years after the original Raccoon City incident. Leon is now in his 50s, moving forward with the emptiness of a lifetime spent fighting an endless war. Grace is representing a fresh start and a new perspective on the horrors that began in 1998. Should you buy it now or wait? If you're a fan of the RE2 remake or Resident Evil 7, Requiem is a must-buy. The combination of survival horror and Leon's action seems like a winner. However, if you're worried about the dual protagonist pacing, it might be worth waiting for the full reviews to see how the two halves cross over a full 15 to 20 hour campaign. But from what I've seen, I'm already checking on my bank balance. Oh well. I am beyond excited to finally step back into the world of Resident Evil this February. What about you? Will you buy it? Tell us in the comments down below.